Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my question is different. I want to ask the previous, the advocate who spoke or presented the Kenya Kwanza agreement, my learned friend, to clarify a few issues. Mr. Yes, Council, can you clarify from the agreement, the Kenya Kwanza agreement, whether there are any shares for the following counties? Please note this. This is important. Kisumu County, Siaya County, Migori County, Homa Bay County, Kitui County, Mombasa County, Vihiga County, Mandera County, Marsabit County, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Lamu, and Nairobi County. I just want to know whether, and this is important because the legal crinkum crankum, the twists and turns in this is that you will then interpret, Council, whether the agreement violates Article 210(2)(b) of the Constitution, inclusivity, diversity, discrimination, and the obligation of the President under Article 131. Lastly, Council, please just tell us whether, in your view, the relationship between the Deputy President and the President, because you played the two clips under Kenya Kwanza, has broken down irretrievably. That will help us. Thank you.
Senator Essie Okenyure.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to seek more information from Mr. Abdi on was it in order for the bid bond document to be released while there was an ongoing investigation? And secondly, did EACC clear Madam Terry Ramadan as the ambassador? Thank you.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a few things to clarify from EACC. One, did you find it necessary to record a statement from Crystal and Shobika in that probe? Because they had been mentioned. Were they entities of interest in the investigation? Secondly, has Shobika ever done any business with KEMSA or with Global Fund before the case on record? In your own investigations, did you find that? In your letter, I see you have recommended administrative action against the CEO, the acting director of procurement, and 2 procurement officers. I see no recommendation of any action, not necessarily by KEMSA, against Crystal or against Shobika. And I think that's in line with your own recommendation that in this case on record, there was no public funds lost, and eventually the bid was returned. So in your own investigation, what is at issue here? I thank you.
Senator Mofire.
I don't know whether this, Honorable Speaker, I want to know from the witness from the EACC. I've listened to his evidence, and I would want to know, on behalf of the whole House, whether the contract for mosquito nets, which was drawn out of interference, because I have captured those confessions from him. So my question is, Honorable Speaker, can he connect the company associated with the DP, with the withdrawal of that contract? Number two, Honorable Speaker, I have also listened to Mr. Murwa, Dr. Murwa. One would want to know, is it normal for ordinary CEO to come and camp in your office for 5 hours?
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the witness is that we've been told by Dr. Mulwa that the people of Kenya lost money, they lost time, they lost the number of nets they were going to get, and services to people. Now, does EACC end at just saying you recommend administrative action? Now, who takes responsibility for the loss of all of that the people of Kenya did? And what responsibility is taken in respect of tinkering with the procurement in order to give it to the wrong person for it to be found not to have been correct? Honorable Speaker, one more question to Council. Now that Professor Ojenda has asked, I want to take opportunity to ask Council Macharia, you referred to the Political Parties Act, Schedule 3, as the instrument with which you allege that the shareholding, in your view, that was being spoken about is contained in the coalition government of Kenya Kwanza. Can you give us the exact provisions of Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act that says that shareholding can be done on development projects in Kenya?
Senator Mugo. Senator Murko.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have a question for the Excellency Deputy President's Counsel as to whether the Deputy President, in his own conscience, realized that this shareholding narrative is really going negative, and what did he do about it? Or he just went all the way up to where things are now without he himself realizing that it is going the wrong way?
Senator Jonyut.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, just want to ask the witness, Mr. Abdi. He has stated that as per their investigation, EACC, that the closing date was moved for this tender, particular tender, was moved from the 23rd of February 2023 to 10th of March in order for the process to favor Shobika, or whose local agent was Christo. Can you clarify, Mr. Abdi, whether this extension of the tender period was due to the late delivery of bid bond, because you said that the tender was also attached to a bid bond that was late? Was the reason the late delivery of the bid bond, or the specifications of the long-lasting net from synergist peronil, something like that, but side to pyrethrin? Exactly what was the reason? Was it late delivery of bid bond or the specification? Number two, Mr. Abdi, you have indicated that the authority did not prefer any charges against the officers of KEMSA and the PS herself. Is that the right thing that EACC was supposed to do, or it should have preferred charges against these errant, in quotes, officers? And finally, why were the companies that were eventually given the tender or awarded the tender by Global FAD, why had they initially been disqualified by KEMSA? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to seek clarifications from the Advocate of the National Assembly in reference to Ground 11, which pertains to gross misconduct bullying. You have alleged that that His Excellency the Deputy President exerted undue pressure on officials of Kenya Medical Supplies Agency in order to secure a tender for supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, a company purportedly associated with him. Now, upon reviewing the documentation provided, I have noted that 17 companies submitted bids for this tender, yet it was ultimately not awarded to any of them. Given these findings, may I inquire from you whether it will be correct to assert that this particular ground lacks sufficient substantiation, considering that no award was made in respect to the tender in question? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Three quick issues to the witness. I wish to refer the witness to page 17 of his own document. And I know he is a very serious investigator, Speaker, but the document on page 17, dated 16th July 2014, as tabled here, is so naked and so casual, and it's purportedly coming from the Pest Control and Products Board. There is no letterhead as to confirm the authenticity of this document, Mr. Speaker. I don't know how the witness intends to allow the Senate to authenticate this document. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, is on his allegation on the conflict of interest on the part of the DP insofar as this tender is concerned. Is it your contention that the mere fact Crystal Kenya Limited is the local agent of one of the bidders in this tender, then that will suffice to be conflict of interest enough on the part of the DP, because the owner of that company assigns to the DP? And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the witness has been cross-examined by my learned colleague, counsel for the DP, largely on contents of the Senate Standing Committee on Health report, as opposed to his own documents. Do you want it to go on record that you want to rely on that report as your evidence in chief, or should the Senate rely on your documents as tabled under volume 8A of your own documents? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Shakil Abdallah.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to Mr. Abdi. How many more charges against the deputy before the EACC apart from the KEMSA? Thank you.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Mr. Speaker, just a quick question to Abdi of EACC. This issue of the bid bond, Mr. Speaker, listening to the former acting CEO, there's something curious about it which I want Abdi to either confirm or help us understand. That there was something peculiar. You know, Mr. Speaker, when you hear about pagination, if you know anything about tenders, you know for a fact that if there's an issue on pagination, either it is not just an issue of forgetting to page or number the pages, Mr. Speaker, but that document may either have been added later on after the tendering process was concluded, or, Mr. Speaker, it was defective. What was the real issue, according to their investigation, with regards to the bid bond that was submitted by this specific company? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, what in his assessment will he say is a reading of the donor community when you have such important programs interfered with, as such that the donor communities themselves end up cancelling such important programs? And what are they recommending? Finally, Mr. Speaker, is to Advocate Ndegwa Njiru. He asked the witness earlier which of the report would he, that this House believes, that of the Senate or of the EACC. I'd wish to pose the same question to him. I thank you.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana mstahiki Spika. Swali langu litaenda kwa Bwana Abdi. Kwa sababu anayehukumiwa hapa ni naibu wa rais, tungetaka kujua kwamba kwa sababu mlifanya uchunguzi, ni kesi ngapi ama kuna kesi yote ambayo EACC imepeleka mahakamani ili naibu wa rais aweze kuhukumiwa? Jambo la pili, wakati kulikuwa naibu wa rais alikuwa anachunguzwa katika bunge la kitaifa, kuna ushahidi wote ambao wewe uliwasilisha katika bunge la kitaifa? Na kama hukuwasilisha, kwa nini umeamua kuwasilisha tu nyumba la seneti na sio bunge la kitaifa? Na ya mwisho, katika zabuni ambayo ilikuwa ni ya vyandarua vya mbu ambayo naibu wa rais anasemekana alihusika nayo, tungetaka tujue ya kwamba kwa sababu ile zabuni ilikuwa imeghairiwa na KEMSA, na kwa hivyo dhamana ya zabuni ambayo ni bid bond kwa kimombo ilikuwa inafaa kurudishwa, tungetaka tujue kama hiyo dhamana ya zabuni ilirudishwa ama iliitishwa, ingekuwa inasaidia naibu wa rais na nini, ama kungekuwa na manufaa gani ya kurudisha dhamana ya zabuni kama ulivyorudisha zingine 17? Hiyo ndio tungetaka kujua. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mogene.